welcome back to another little cabin life update. I'll just talk about really what's been going on around the cabin and in the videos and what's coming up in the future for 2024. I think it's going to be a pretty exciting year. I have a few plans really for the cabin. Not really the cabin because that's mostly done, but I have a whole lot of stuff to do over there. Yeah, so let's get started. The cabin itself, I'll just speak on a few things that I want to get done. So I've been procrastinating long enough for this thing here. The roof, I would really love to cut a slice of tin, even if it's just like 12-14 inches down the middle, because as you can see there's icicles now, so sadly I can't really do the job. It would have to be in spring, which really isn't a big deal. I just have to bring an angle grinder. So add a piece of tin all the way down so the water stops dripping down on the logs. You can see with the temperature changes they dried out, but in the summer it's pretty rough on them. The color changes. The one at the bottom there got a beating. It is pretty punky, but I don't really care. It's the one at the bottom. Whatever. It's really not that much of a big deal for me, but I still would love to keep the wall logs really fresh. So super simple, just cut a strip of tin, of pool tin that I have on the roof, nail it down underneath the existing tin, go around the tree, just make something very simple. Second point for the cabin, as you guys can see, which isn't much because it's very dark in here, and for filming purposes, I guess I could say, I would really love some lights, but as of now I do not have enough power for lights, which is going to bring a third point later on. I would need to switch everything up to 12 volts. As of now I have 110, so just normal, everybody uses pretty much around the world, 110, 120 power, so I need a power inverter. So I'll show you guys what I'm running outside. All my power pretty much comes from, you guys won't be able to see, but right here, that is one large 12 volt battery, an extremely large, heavy, massive battery from a tractor. So it is not the right implement at all to have solar power. I have a decent inverter sitting right on top of that battery. I know it's an extremely poor man's setup. It worked for quite some time. As of now, my wires are all messed up. Everything is messed up. I'll get it more into in depth later, but it is just not an optimal setup at all. But it did work for a few years for when I needed it, because I rarely ever used it. I much rather use oil lanterns, even if they don't put off that much light. For those of you that have been following my channel for quite a few years, you may even have seen me install the solar panel. It is right there up in the tree. It's really not super good. It's not an optimal location. It is a very crappy setup. It's not what you would use off-grid. It's like an extremely emergency setup, like survival, terrible setup that I did. I did it in like a day, very cheap. I'll give you guys a closer look. As I walk around here, issue number one, these plugs. These are just standard plugs. There is a female connector like this and a male connector like this, and they plug into each other. Well, I had no clue while I got this solar panel. It kind of came all as a kit, so I bought it, I believe it was like for a few $100s, which is quite cheap for a full kit. It came with a battery, checker, alternator, I'm not sure, like it's like a charge protector, smart charger, blah blah blah, everything for the battery, some wiring, and obviously the solar panel. Obviously seems like a pretty good deal. One solar panel, a very good solar panel, is around $300 to, depending on the size, $1,000, $500, $600. So for a few $100, I got everything, right? So pretty good deal. Wrong. This solar panel, I believe, is like 120 watt, I believe. So it's on the small to very early medium, or maybe it's a 200. I'm not sure honestly, but I bought it at a hardware store, and like I said, I had no idea what I was getting into. It's a very cheaply made solar panel. It's an old design. It is not for everybody, and it's wouldn't really have been what I was looking for at the time if I would have had more money. The issue with a solar panel like that is that all the I'm not a solar expert or anything. I'm just going off what somebody told me. That is a very cheap and universal, pretty much, brand. Well, actually, I believe like Coleman makes it. So the little cheap knives, the little cheap camping company, they make great products. I know I have some, but they're just not a solar power company. They tried to get in it, and there's a few little icks in there that really prevent you from expanding your solar panel array. So with a plug like that, apparently there's only a few companies around the world that use it. It's the cheap solar panels. The male-female connector is apparently very just rare, and nobody uses that. It's cheap. It's not reliable. I've noticed. And the solar panels themselves are of a configuration that the cells in them are all connected to one. So let's say if a branch or a piece of snow, or just a chunk of whatever grass or snow or moss grows when you're not there, whatever, on your solar panel, your batteries will not charge because it's going to be working at like 10% or 0% at all, because every cell is connected and it's complete garbage. It does not work. Like I said, I'm not an expert. That's what somebody told me. The more general purpose worldwide solar panels that people use for their house, like I said, they're cheaper for what they are, but they're more expensive than the extremely like generic crappy solar panel that I have. I looked and it's about like $350 for like a 300 watt, which would be way more than enough. It's about the size of like a door. So I need to put that on the ground. Easy to clean off, no problem at all. I could move it around if I'd have to. Super easy. I'm not worried about that. But the plugs that come into those, for one, are a worldwide use plugs. The guy told me like in Europe, in the United States, Canada, what have you, everybody uses that exact same plug. Apparently it's like a big plug. He showed it to me. It's like a bunch of wires that connect. You could plug a bunch of solar panels on one plug, not just one to one battery charger, smart charger thing. It says that's crap. It's a little gimmicky thing they do for like RVs and stuff for the people that don't know. I'm like, well, I'm an idiot. I didn't know. He's like, yeah, well, they got you. So makes sense. So second point, apart from the plug, is that the cells are independent. So he says if it snows on 50% of your solar panel, so if this solar panel and all this is covered in snow and you still have all of this, solar panel is still going to work 50%. So he says obviously the cells are independent. It's a new technology. It works awesome, and they aren't that much more expensive than the other ones. The other ones, he says, will soon be obsolete. So like I said, you know, for everything it's pretty expensive. I'll get into it on my next point. But yeah, hopefully next year I'll have at least just one solar panel. Third or fourth point, not sure where I am. But I've been standing here the whole time talking. This is my newly built treehouse or tree shed thing. That's going to house most of my solar panel accoutrements and accessories. I built this because the guy that I talked to at the solar panel shop expert thing told me that it needs to be not that humid, so I built it off the ground because there is, well, I guess one electronic piece, which is the solar power manager. So you can plug your batteries on there, plug them however you want. So plug your solar panel. I'd put my solar panel in front of me beside the cabin. I'd have to put a wire in the ground, up the tree, in there, so the solar panel can power the battery manager. Once the battery manager is powered, I need to power two batteries or one battery, because that is a huge issue here because one battery is $1,000 for a lithium battery, but he could like get uncharged 3,000 times, and the guy's like, you won't live old enough to kill a battery like that. So he says, hey, check it out, like do some research on it. And I did, and I know it's worth it, but it is very, very expensive. And it's not like I have like a washing machine and everything and I'll get like 10 batteries. I pretty much would like it maybe to like charge electronics if ever need be. Maybe one day charge a camera. My camera batteries, that would be awesome to charge them here, and have just some lights in the cabin. Because as of now, I have 110 power on my inverter like I mentioned before, and that just completely just sucks a battery dry in like 20 minutes to an hour max. It just dries up a battery. It's really, really bad. I'll be good for hours and hours and hours if I just get one 12-volt battery. And I'm not sure if I have experts watching the video, but I heard also that you could link up to 6 volts to have like twice as many amps or something, and it'll last forever. But it's a problem for another day. It's upcoming quick today, but whatever. Now, once I have a battery up there, I need to run a wire or just a standard extension cord from here down the tree up into the cabin. That's going to give me some power. So it's a little bit more work. It's a little bit more work, but way more work than what I have right now. As you guys saw, my completely butchered setup just isn't ideal at all. But hopefully I'll be able in 2024 to have something like an extremely beginner setup. Something very, very simple, like I just explained. But I'm just not sure financial wise if I'll be able to, because the battery is very expensive, and well, like I mentioned, it's about $1,000 plus tax, plus I need a battery controller plus a solar panel. Something else I need to do would be to completely put tin on the roof of this little treehouse. It's nice and all to actually have it for solar power equipment, but I actually need to protect it. So I need to finish the front and back wall and add a door onto it. As you guys saw in the front, there's absolutely no door whatsoever. If I hold up the camera here, you guys can see in the back, same as the front, that there is some holes everywhere. I kind of patched it up really, really quick before the first big snowfall. I really just didn't want to have a big flood inside the little treehouse, so I used up just scraps of wood and was able to patch up most of the top portion of the roof. But now, to finalize everything, I really need to patch up all the little holes. Giving you guys a view of the landscape here, but I'm not sure, maybe behind the dog or to the left of that little treehouse, maybe I'd have to look where the other owner's land starts, but I would like in that area to have maybe an outhouse, something very simple, just a few feet wide, just enough to have a toilet seat in there. So minimal materials, like always, and as cheap as possible. I have tin for the roof, so that's a big plus. I don't need to buy that, but maybe in that area or somewhere to the right of the cabin. So once again, this is the right side of the cabin. If you're facing it, cabin is to the left. So maybe somewhere in that area over there. I know the neighbor's land is close to there, but maybe somewhere in that area. I'm not sure. It seems further than it really is from the cabin on camera, but it's really not that far. Maybe about 50 feet away. But still, I think it'd be a pretty nice location. I'm not sure, but I don't know. Let me know in the comments, for those of you watching, where do you think would be better? Obviously here it's a lot closer. Other side it's a little bit further, but I'm not sure if there'd be like a smell or anything. It's not supposed to be with any dry out houses, but you never know. That is pretty much it for the cabin updates and the updates on the upcoming projects. I know some people have asked me, because now I'm looking at the camera, I can see my fire pit right beside me, to make some type of little outside cooking area. which is a good idea. I'm just not sure how I would go about doing something simple and that would require a small footprint for that. It'd be kind of like a rock fire pit with a roof over it, but I have honestly no idea. But you guys let me know where you'd like to see that. If you'd like to see some type of little cookhouse or something, let me know, because I'm always open to new ideas. And you guys have a bunch, so I really appreciate that. As for me, I know I get comments on how I'm doing, and people want to know. Because, for one, the videos have slowed down a little bit. Due to the weather we're having this year, it is very, very hard to film. I could have came here a few times a week, honestly, for the past month, but it has just been like downpour after downpour of rain. Like mid-December, like through November to December, it has just been raining. We had one big snowfall, and I came right after that to make a video. It looked super cool. It was a big white carpet everywhere. But after that, it was just completely gone like a week after. This is all we have left. It's lightly snowing now, so that's pretty cool. It looks really, really nice. But yeah, apart from the video conditions, I'm doing pretty good. I got sick, well, actually pretty badly for, I want to say, a month. My nose is still leaking, but I feel it's like one of those, I did a little bit of research and people have been talking about it. This year it feels like everybody's had that, just like a cough, and it kind of never goes away. Your nose is leaking, and then you feel nauseous, and then you have a bunch of symptoms. But for now, I'm okay. I try to dress pretty warm. Not really much else has been going on. I've been working on a few other hobbies of mine. That's not related really to the cabin, but yeah, so far everything's been going pretty good. 2023 has been rough, but in the grand scheme of things, it's been okay. You know, dog is doing just fine. She's chewing all her branches. She's having a great time. Yeah, I also get comments of where's your dog. There she is. I'll give you guys a right before heading out. I'll give you guys a little close up. Yeah, she's looks pretty healthy. Still has all her mental issues. Hasn't changed. She is she's just fine. She has a little Christmas bandana on, the Merry Christmas bandana. She's having a great time. It's a lot better for her when it's not super, super warm, like in the summer. And it's also not super cold, so it's the best weather conditions, honestly, to be at the cabin. It's pretty nice.